7 years into our marriage, I thought I understood everything about Ryan, his moods, his quiet mornings, the way he always double-knotted his sneakers before a run. We were, by all appearances, solid, comfortable, predictable, even. And I never imagined that predictability could be shattered by one single conversation. It started on a Saturday night, the kind that used to be movie and popcorn lazy. He poured wine, something red, too fancy for a casual evening, and sat down next to me with a tension I could feel before he even opened his mouth. "I want to tell you something," he said, not looking at me. His fingers tapped the base of his wine glass, rhythmically. "Something I've been thinking about for a while." I waited. He looked up. And then he said it. "I have a fantasy. It's not about you. Not really. But I want to try it, with your permission. Just once." I stared at him. He spoke slowly, carefully, like he'd rehearsed it. "It wasn't about love," he insisted. "Just a physical curiosity. An experience. Something he swore would bring us closer." I blinked, trying to wrap my mind around what he was actually asking. "You want to sleep with someone else?" I said flatly. He nodded. "Yes. But only if you're okay with it. Only if you say yes." The room fell into silence, so thick I could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. My chest felt tight, as if my heart had paused mid-beat, uncertain how to react. Was this a test? A joke? Or worse, was it a truth he'd been carrying for months? He took my hand and squeezed it, eyes gentle, like he was asking for a weekend away, not a pass to cheat. "It's just one time. You're my wife. Nothing changes between us." But everything already had. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while he slept beside me. My mind ricocheted between betrayal and guilt, love and self-respect. I didn't want to be the kind of woman who said yes to something that felt so wrong. But I also didn't want to be the kind of wife who said no and watched him pull away. For 3 days, I said nothing. I smiled when I didn't mean it. I went to work, answered emails, kissed him goodnight, and felt like I was splitting in half. And then, on the 4th night, I looked at him across the dinner table, his eyes searching mine, hopeful and soft, and I said the word I never thought I'd say. "Yes." He smiled, kissed my hand, told me how much he loved me. But as I cleared the plates, my stomach turned. Something inside me had shifted, quiet but irreversible. I gave him what he wanted, and I had no idea what it would take from me. He told me the plan 2 days later. Her name was Maya. He said it so casually, like I already knew her. I didn't, not really. I remembered her only vaguely from his office holiday party. Tall, charming, a little too comfortable laughing at his jokes. "She knows the boundaries," he said. "No emotional stuff. Just one night." I nodded. Or maybe I didn't. I honestly don't remember. Everything he said after Maya became background noise. He booked a hotel. Told me he'd be gone just for the evening. I didn't ask for details. I couldn't. I just stood there like a stranger in my own life, trying not to let my voice shake when I said, "Be safe." That night, I made dinner for one. I barely touched it. I watched the clock, then stopped watching it, then watched it again. I told myself this was a choice I'd made, but it didn't feel like one. It felt like a slow, controlled burn happening just beneath my skin. I slept on the couch, but I didn't sleep. Every creak of the floorboards made me flinch. Every hour that passed felt like a countdown to something I couldn't name. When he finally came home, just after midnight, I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, he was cheerful, light, as if nothing had happened. He made me coffee and kissed my forehead, and for a moment I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded, said thanks, sat across from him in the kitchen, and watched him scroll through his phone like it was any other morning. But it wasn't. Something had shifted, something I couldn't ignore. He said it was done. One night, just like we agreed. And I tried to believe him. For a few days, I went through the motions: work, errands, dinner, dishes. But something in me had cracked. I felt it every time I looked at him and saw not my husband, but a man with secrets I'd helped him create. Then one night, he left his phone on the nightstand while he showered. I didn't mean to look, but I did. And there it was, text from Maya. Not crude, not overt. Just intimate. Flirty. Familiar. Too familiar. Last night was perfect. Miss your arms already. Same time Friday? I stared at the screen until the words blurred. My hands were cold. My heart didn't race. It slowed, like it had been sedated. So it wasn't one night. It wasn't a fantasy. It was an affair. Ongoing. Real. I sat there with his phone in my hand, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something sharp. Clarity. He didn't just break the rules. He rewrote them behind my back. And I was the one left living by the old ones, blindfolded, loyal, and slowly vanishing. I didn't confront him right away. For a few days, I kept up the charade, smiling when he walked in the room, nodding when he talked about work. But something in me had turned to stone. Cold. Heavy. Unmoving. Then Friday came. He left the house in a rush, not bothering with excuses. He'd stopped pretending. That night, I sat on our bed, the sheets still smelling like him, phone in my hand, courage in my throat. When the front door opened, I didn't flinch. I didn't cry. I just waited. He stepped into the bedroom, saw me sitting there, and froze. "We need to talk," I said. He blinked. "Everything okay?" I held up his phone, unlocked, Maya's name still open on the screen. "Does it look okay?" His face dropped. Silence stretched between us, full of all the things he didn't say fast enough. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. He sat down slowly, like his body suddenly weighed too much. I didn't mean for it to happen. It wasn't supposed to be more than that night. But we connected. Connected. I stared at him, mouth slightly open, but no words came. It wasn't shock, it was something worse. It was understanding. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. Repeated. Deliberate. "I gave you permission," I said quietly, "because I loved you. Because I trusted you." "I didn't mean to hurt you," he said, his voice soft, almost boyish. "But you did." My voice shook, but I didn't look away. "And then you kept doing it." He looked down. "Maybe we just aren't enough anymore. Maybe what we need is space. Openness." Openness. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. "You mean you want to sleep with her and keep me here, folding laundry, playing wife while you play bachelor?" "That's not fair," he said quickly. "It's not like that." "No," I said. "It's exactly like that." There it was, the final crack in something I'd been clinging to for far too long. I looked at this man, my husband, my best friend, the person I once couldn't imagine a future without, and realized he was already gone. The version of him I loved had vanished somewhere between that fantasy and the third lie. I stood up. I said yes, because I thought I was strong enough. But it turns out strength isn't staying when you're being dismantled piece by piece. Strength is knowing when to walk away. His eyes widened. "You're leaving?" "I have to," I whispered. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. "You had a wish," I said, voice steady. "Now I have one too. I wish I never said yes." That night I packed a bag. No drama. No screaming. Just silence. And a strange, aching relief that I moved in with my sister the next morning. She didn't ask for details. She just opened the door, pulled me into a hug, and let me cry until the sobs turned silent. For a while, I felt like I was floating outside of my own life, watching myself go to work, nod through conversations, pretend everything was fine. But each day that passed, something slowly shifted. My hands stopped shaking. My heart beat with less panic. The silence no longer felt like punishment. It felt like peace. Ryan called, of course. Left long voicemails. Sent apology texts that started with, "I never meant to hurt you," and ended with, "Can we just talk?" But what was left to say? He had gambled something sacred for a few nights of novelty, and I had finally stopped hoping he'd become the man he used to be. Instead, I started becoming someone I hadn't seen in a long time me. I went to therapy. At first, I only talked about him, but eventually I started talking about myself. The things I gave up to keep our marriage afloat. The quiet ways I shrank to avoid conflict. The version of love I was sold. The kind where loyalty meant self-erasure. One afternoon, I sat in a cafe with an old friend I hadn't seen in years. She listened to the whole story, then looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You are brave to say yes, but you're stronger for walking away." I think that's the first time I believed it. I stopped checking Ryan's socials. I stopped wondering what he was doing, or if he missed me. I realized I didn't want to be missed like that, as an echo of guilt or a placeholder in someone else's indecision. I wanted to be chosen. Fully. Fiercely. Or not at all. Weeks turned into months. I started running in the mornings, music in my ears, air sharp in my lungs. I cooked for myself. I read in bed until midnight. I bought flowers on Fridays, just for me. The pain didn't vanish. It just changed shape, became something I could carry, something I could learn from. People think infidelity is about sex, but it's not. It's about deception. Abandonment. It's about asking someone to hold a secret that breaks their own heart. Ryan had a wish, and I gave it to him. But I've learned something since then. Never say yes to something that asks you to disappear. Now, my wish is simple. It's not about love or revenge or proving anything to anyone. It's about peace. Peace in my choices. Peace in my boundaries. Peace in knowing that I said yes out of love, but walked away out of self-respect. And if you're listening to this, whoever you are, just know, you are allowed to choose yourself. Every single time.